Welcome to Last Orders, the podcast about the podcast. We are going to talk with some of the players about the recent episode of the Crowded Tavern, more specifically episode number 10, at the recording still to be named. Maybe we can workshop that. With me today I have my trusted friend and ally, Amanda. Say hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
And also with us we have two guests. We have Adam, aka Strix.
Hello.
And Rick, aka Arleem.
Hello.
So how's everyone doing today?
Not too bad. I went to bed at like 2 a.m, so feeling fresh, feeling super, revitalized and ready to go. AKA probably going to take a nap after this.
That's fair. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
It's okay, I guess.
Do you want the real answer or the fake answer?
I mean, real answer.
I am having a day.
Yep. So it seems we have talked before this episode, so we don't need to go into details here. But yeah, it's been a day. Adam, you okay too?
I'm nursing a cold today, so I'm just glad my voice hasn't given out.
You're doing great.
Maybe within the next hour.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I just randomly go quiet, you know what happened. I said if I just randomly go quiet, you know what happened.
Okay, that's fair.
And how are you, Marty?
Oh, I'm actually pretty good. I've just had a very relaxing weekend for a change. So overall, actually pretty good. Been staying home, haven't been drinking, stuff like that. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, actually managed to go to bed not normal bedtime, a little bit later than usual, but actually I'm good.
What's a normal bedtime anyway? Let's be honest. Like, what's a?
I don't know.
If I go to bed before midnight, that's like considered pretty good for me, even on a school night. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I guess it's just because I'm a little bit older, so I need my sleep or I won't function at all. So.
I don't think I believe that.
I also need sleep. 3 a.m. is not it.
No, that's not it.
No.
Add everything else as well.
It's fine.
I mean, I feel like I need to clarify for the listeners. It's not like we're recording at like 9 a.m. or anything. This is the afternoon, guys.
It's the afternoon and I was still late.
Oh well, it happens. That's what you get when you record on a Sunday, I guess. So it's our own fault.
At least I managed all of our expectations when Marty was like 10 a.m. and I was like, no, that is absolutely not happening.
And also, you lot are in the UK and I'm in Denmark, so it's easy for me to say quotation mark early time because I'm an hour later. So 10 a.m. that's 11 for me, so it would still have been good for me, So
That's true.
All right.
But we're not here to talk about our late night habits, Marty. What are we here to talk about?
We're actually here to talk about that last episode that we did, the last session that we did, which had a lot of time jump shenanigans going on. So how did everyone feel after that session? Was it a good one?
I'm going to jump in here. I loved it. I thought that the little snapshots through time over, a 5-month period was really, really cool way to explore what was happening during that time instead of just being like, and now it's 5 months later. And it's like, oh, well, what happened? And now we know what happened. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so cool.
Awesome.
Good job.
Yeah, no, have to agree. I did wonder what was in store for us when you said that it was going to have like a bunch of time jumps and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'm not entirely sure how long it's going to be, and I know that I had some questions about it, like when we were chatting beforehand, like what we wanted from it. But no, it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was nice seeing like how everyone's life was like slowly kind of building, but not just us as well. Like how like the rest of like the camp had like started to kind of build. I really think it's really interesting that we've got to the point of like, because since like session 1, we've all been focused on how do we get back. To the point where, and I think it was Neza that brought it up, we kind of lost the plot not in a crazy way, but in a genuine way of like the whole point of this was to become like kind of settle here and make a new, find a new planet that we could start exploring. But because things went so tragically wrong, we were just focused so hard on trying to get back that now that it's been a few months and people have started to kind of like, attune to life here, it's kind of like, we've kind of achieved what we set out to do originally, which is kind of interesting because I'm sure there are plenty of people who think that our efforts in trying to get back home are kind of a little bit pointless now.
Absolutely, and it was actually part of Neza's scene as well, where Neza was talking to Thrag, where it did come up that, actually a lot of the people here are quite content. There is a small group that, really want to go home, but it seems like most people, they actually got what they wanted. So it will be very, very interesting. And I could ask this, I don't know if I should ask this. We probably have talked a little bit about it before, but obviously we still have a little bit of road to go, but getting the choice between staying and leaving, do your characters lean in any specific way currently?
It changes quite dramatically after every bit of information you give us, because I think Arleem was probably quite content on staying until the last time jump, which is where he doesn't feel too connected with kind of like his spirit anymore. He doesn't really know what's going on. And I think it was Strix that kind of started saying, well, what happens if you go back and something drastic has changed with your spirit or like the deity that you both worship? And now he's a bit like, oh shit. He doesn't quite know what to think about that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he sits at the moment, to be perfectly honest. I think it probably will determine heavily on what happens with what's happening with his spirit, I suppose, because I have no idea what is happening there.
That's fair. How about the rest of you, Strix, for instance?
They definitely don't have a solid answer one way or the other as yet. If Strix even survives that long.
Why are you saying that? You're seeming like there's like a huge endeavor right in front of you currently.
It's not like you're building up multiple dragon fights or anything. I think probably more stay than go. Although it's also a question of like, is it like a one-time portal deal, and you either go or you stay, and then you commit to that, or can you like hop back and forth? Could I go home for like a year or two and then come back? Is that an option, or is that just not going to be how it works? I don't know.
Yeah, good questions. How about Neza?
I think for Neza, it also changes depending on the day. She's determined to get the people home who want to go home. But I don't know that she necessarily wants to go home. She's enjoying the challenge of science in a new environment, and the connection with the goblins and the disconnection from like such a technological city like Baragoo. And yeah, so I'm not actually sure. It's a bit of both. A bit of both. And yeah, like Adam was saying, like if there's a possibility to easily hop back and forth, like maybe that's something she would be interested in.
I think that was the idea, right? The idea that this was going to be a portal that we could probably utilize two ways. So in that respect, it would have been best of both worlds. But if the decision is stay or leave, I don't know what Arleem, I don't know what Arleem is thinking.
I mean, that's fair, and I think that is, probably how it should be currently. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens towards the end to see what is possible and what isn't possible and what happens. So
I mean, maybe Neza gets killed by dragons and the choice just gets taken away.
That would be actually, if Neza dies, that wouldn't be a good situation to be in if you really want to go home, I guess.
Nope.
Just realize that now. Are you sure Neza should go?
I'm not letting you all fight a dragon on your own.
All right. So, returning to the latest episode, any favorite moments or something that springs to mind straight out from any?
I have one.
Strix has one. Adam has one. Sorry.
Yeah. I think the opening scene, honestly, between Arleem and Auburn, where they were sort of decompressing after some of the events that had happened to each of them in the previous episode, and helping each other sort of come to terms and exploring maybe how in a way they both needed the same thing.
Yeah, that was really nice. I think obviously we're a group and we're all friends, but I do think that there's an unexpected kind of stronger bond forming between Auburn and Arleem that I didn't expect, to be honest. Obviously I wrote the letter and whatnot, but I did that purely because I felt that words were better than talking for Auburn. So I just felt it was stuff that he needed to hear, but didn't want to hear it necessarily through his ears. So it's nice. It's nice to see them, and then even a couple months later to see that their friendship is still kind of quite strong, that they're still hanging out and chatting to each other. It was really nice to see. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, it, for me as well was a really good moment. I knew that Danny really wanted to start out with this, so because I've spoke to him about it beforehand. So I also feel like we kind of had to, because Auburn did get pushed to the side towards the end of the season before the session before that, because to make room for the whole conduit talk. So I definitely felt like that was still some emotional thing that needed to happen before we could move on from that whole thing. So really loved it. I have to admit I got a little bit emotional there as well. We ended the previous session and we started the next one again on an emotional place. So that was really good. Well done.
Well, thank you.
It's great. And I just feel the need to say what Jake would say and be like, hey, Auburn and Arleem, huh? Can't see who.
I don't see that. I
just know that that's how he feels. So I'm just putting it out there.
I genuinely hadn't thought of that at all, to be perfectly honest. That's not where my brain was going. I don't know what way Auburn swings. I don't know if Arleem's even looking for something like that. I don't know if that's how that's going to happen. I don't know.
I'm just putting it out there. It's not my thoughts. It's not my thoughts.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Any special moments besides that?
I mean, my spirit taking physical form was unexpected, massively so. Did not expect that to happen. Still don't quite know how to deal with that, or what the results are going to be. But I did enjoy kind of Neza and Arleem running around the camp trying to figure out, well, not a camp anymore, it's essentially a village at this point, trying to talk to people and figure out what was going on. I really enjoyed that.
I like that one too. Your deity being like, there's somebody praying to me 3 doors up across the street, and it was like, this is so weird.
But I have no idea what's gonna. Yeah, I'd say I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I am intrigued to see why, because it feels like that was planned. We've thrown a lot of things at you that potentially like wasn't planned. I get the feeling that potentially was. And I mean, I annoy people when I watch movies because I'm always the one that's trying to figure out what the plot is, like as the movie unfolds, and I'm like, oh, they're the killer, or they're going to do this, blah 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 blah. And I don't like it because I can't figure out where that's going. So, yeah.
No.
We'll find out, I suppose.
I have to then admit that exact moment, that scene was not planned, actually. It is, I mean, it was planned in the sense of that I had the idea like prior to the session. So between the latest session and this session, I got the idea for this. So it's not something that's been planned for since the beginning. This is actually kind of new. But it is because of what happened over time and how the characters react and things like that. So I just thought that, hey, this actually could be an interesting thing to play around. So
I think on top of it, like, you messaged and we had a chat beforehand, and I was trying to get back to the core of what Arleem was originally at the start of the game supposed to be. He was supposed to be cocky. He was supposed to be a little bit like out of his depth, obviously out of his depth, but also not really registering that and kind of ignoring his spirit guide and stuff, all that kind of stuff. Which, and I promise this isn't a bad thing, you ripped away like literally within an hour of session 1 because I didn't have my guide and I didn't have anything I could talk to. So his cocky nature was like immediately on hold because he was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on and how he could survive life and all this kind of stuff. And then when we were chatting about the time skip, I said to you, I was like, well, I think given that people are kind of like regarding him in some sort of deity-like light, not deity exactly, but deity-like he's probably, if there's like a few months pass, he's probably going to get his cockiness back. He's probably going to get a bit like big for his boots again, and he's got his guide so he can talk to them / ignore them like he used to. And so I was like, that's how it was going to go. And then you once again ripped all of that entirely away, and now Arleem is once again in a very confused and very like not sure what the hell's going on situation. So, and again, these aren't bad things because I love it, because it wasn't what I was expecting at all. But it has meant that, yeah, Arleem, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get back into my cocky roots. And I kind of did a little bit until the guide was made manifest. And then I immediately went back to, don't know what the fuck's going on. Have to be really cautious about everything. Which came across even more so when we were talking about, going out to fight this dragon. I kind of knew that's where we were heading, and in my head I was like, yeah, Arleem's going to lead the charge on this one. He's going to be the one that's like, yeah, let's fucking go. And then when it got to it, he was like, no, don't want to leave. I want to stay here. Don't know what's going on. Everything's weird again. Yeah, that's I'm intrigued to see even for myself how that's going to kind of play out, how his character's going to develop over the next couple sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it's not like I'm planning to rip things, the rug away onto you. So, but it's it's cool. It's
it really is.
Yeah. How about you, Amanda?
I think probably one of my favorite moments was just after Arleem and Neza were like running around, and Arleem kept saying like, I don't want to be this person, and Neza was just like, I actually think you should be this person, like be this like priest or whatever you want to call yourself. And I really enjoyed that moment. I don't know what it was about it, but it was nice.
I think in a weird way you took the kind of the position of Arleem's guide in that moment, because the guide was there, right, but I didn't have him to talk to because he was also they, it, any pronouns. We're still not entirely sure what the spirit's pronouns are. Like they were also in their own world because they were figuring out new things. So in that moment, Arleem was genuinely looking for help, couldn't find it in any of the places that he usually gets it from, but you filled that role, which was kind of amazing and nice to see.
It was nice. Neza's not a bad person. She's very spiritual in her own way. She's just shit at talking to people.
She's spiritual and incredibly scientifically focused. I'm not entirely sure how the two mix.
They do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
It's more like a nature-based spirituality. Like,
But miracles don't exist.
Absolutely not. She really leaned really heavily into the science. Like, no, we didn't make a god. It's impossible. No, miracles don't exist. It's just a science. There's a scientific reason for it.
Yeah. I feel like one of my most favorite things about the entire session was Benjamin's stand-in. We can't not talk about.
Oh wow! I mean, the Benjamin voice, spot on. I thought Benjamin was there.
Mannerisms, everything. It was great. It was great, Marty.
Thanks. I actually, because it's actually the thing that I wanted to bring up as my favorite moment. I actually kind of enjoyed playing as Benjamin. It was just fun. Though I have to admit, and I had to edit that part out of the edited version of the whole thing, was the whole hey, what's a secret that Benjamin has? And that's like basically a minute where nobody's saying anything, and I was like, yeah, we'll just edit this out because this is not good. And then I just realized a very simple, secret that I've known all the time. So it took me a while, but I got there. But no, overall enjoyed it, and even Jake I've spoken to Jake as well, and he loved, for instance, the spider climb in the tavern, and I was like, yeah, that's such a Benjamin thing to do. So let's do it. So yeah, really enjoyed it. So thanks for playing along with Benjamin as well.
No, it was fun to have him there in some capacity, since we couldn't have Jake, obviously.
I know. I also really loved the moment where Strix pulled out his familiar, like from within his feathers, and it was a spider. And I was just like, this is so on brand.
Sagel's been there since I made Strix's character. I don't know if Marty remembers, but he's been on my character sheet the whole time, just not used him.
I do think, I have to double check, but I actually do think that we have set up a spider token for you in Foundry. So yeah, but I have to admit I completely forgot about her. But she's there. We did talk about her. So
yeah,
absolutely.
In terms of moments that I really enjoyed, the moment of us all realizing that we hadn't spoken to each other about things that had been happening over the months that had gone on was brilliant. I don't know. I, for some reason, assumed that we probably would have just told each other as the months went on, or there would have been some conversation between us. But quite rightly, we never said that happened, and we never, specifically explained that we would have told each other about those things. And when it got to that moment, it was just a case of, everyone doesn't know about all the weird things that have been happening over these months. Despite the fact that we clearly have been talking and chatting and whatnot, we clearly kept things secret for some reason. So
there's just a lot of weird stuff going on.
Well, yeah, I certainly, having lived with, obviously Strix and Neza would have spoken, but I imagine with Strix living with Neza in the lab and having so much to focus on with her and Benjamin, I could totally imagine that Strix has hardly spoken to Arleem or Orbit.
How dare you? How very dare you?
I also think that it sort of mirrors real life friendship sometimes, because
for sure.
Some of my best friends, we don't meet up in person that often, but when we do, we realize, it's actually been a while, because all this stuff has happened that is, some of them quite big things, and so I think it's totally plausible that what happened in the game is how it happens in real life as well. So so yeah. Any other moments? I'm trying to think myself.
Not necessarily a moment per se. However, I am intrigued to pick your brain about what your thoughts are on how the village looks now? Because obviously we kind of spoke about it a little bit, and you said that there were houses cropping up and all that kind of stuff. But I want to dig more into your brain a little bit about how in your head it's looking. Are there like streets, like working streets? Are there like what's the vibe in your head?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely streets. There's definitely wooden houses, I would say, at this point. I don't think we've gotten to the point where we're starting to have a lot of colors introduced. I mean, even the booze is, just alcohol. There's no taste, flavor added to it. So I think everything is very basic still, because it is quite a, it is quite the population. And as I also tried to say during the session, that, it's more like community housings. A lot of people need to live together for now. It's only like special people, like Arleem, for instance, that got their very own house, or Neza with the lab. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just obviously I knew that we had like supplies, and we're obviously from an advanced world which probably knows how to utilize minerals more than probably even we could in our current state in this time. But I did wonder like what resources we had to hand. But it sounds like it's still kind of, as you say, like wooden houses, dirt streets, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But you are getting some help as well from the goblins as well with various tasks. Like there's some trading going on. There is they are helping you, adjusting to just living in nature, because they're used to it. You're not. So small things like that. So yeah.
I'm glad we're friends with the goblins.
I mean,
I like that some of us have learned their language. I think that's really cool.
I mean, you did save the chieftain, so you were sort of in a good spot with them. So, and it's also one of those things where I'm a little bit sad we have to move on from some of this so quickly, because I think it could be interesting to see a little bit more in game, your connection with the goblins and stuff like that. But yeah, someone decided to set a deadline for this series, so sadly not. Maybe
who was that?
I don't know. I forgot who it was. But yeah, maybe in a 1-shot or 2-shot or something in the future, we can look at some of those things.
That'd be cool.
So,
be very cool.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on where you're headed? You're headed up the mountain
into death, decay, and destruction.
Okay.
That.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's the plan. If we all make it back alive, I'd be surprised. And I don't know if I'm talking as Arleem or as Rick at the moment. Obviously Arleem is very much like, don't know if this is the greatest idea. He got a first-hand experience of this scaled bird kind of causing complete and utter destruction, and has just learned that there's more of them, according to Strix's accounts of what he's seen having sent minions out to the mountains. So I am not 100% on board, I don't think. But if everyone else is going, I don't want them to die. So that's where I think I'm sitting.
I did genuinely have a whole bunch of reasons for you to go lined up. Like I was a little bit disappointed that you were like, okay, because I was like, oh, Neza was really gonna pile it on. Ask me what they are now. I have no idea. That was a Wednesday thing. Gone. But I had about 10. I had a list.
You hit me with the "we'll die if you don't go" pretty early on. So that was.
I mean, that was kind of the most important thing.
Yeah,
but if our deaths didn't matter, there were some other things on my list.
No, after you hit me that one, I kind of was like, well, I can't say no to this. Because it's true, you would die if I'm not there. It's happened before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame you can't remember it anymore, Amanda, because we could have had like a little extra scene right here now if you wanted to. So
I know. No, I've been sitting here trying to think what were they, because I genuinely had a load of them, and I'm like, but I can't remember them.
Yeah, me neither. So yeah, no, I think it is definitely going to be interesting. And in my head, I'm trying to plan, because the next session we're having is a long one. It's like a full day of session, but I'm still trying to, to fit it into like session 11, session 12, session potentially 13, depending on how quickly we move through things. And it's one of those things where, I feel like you can plan everything you want to, and then you get to it, and then it takes longer, or things happen, or the players have other ideas. So I have a rough idea about what's going on, and then we'll see what you all are bringing to the table. So
it's going to be carnage. I'm just putting it out there now.
Yeah.
I just remembered a moment that I really loved and also hated.
Okay.
When Neza asked, sorry, my cat's coming in. She's very strong. She can open the door now. When Neza asked Strix and Benjamin to like use their level 12 powers, and like cast the biggest spell they could possibly cast, and Strix is just like, all right, I'm gonna make more skeletons, and like the skeletons come out of the bag and just like crawl out of the skin, and I was like, I should have expected this, but this is disgusting.
That was grim. That was pretty grim.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, mistakes super made.
I mean, Strix has
spell?
access to his highest level spell.
Yeah. What was Benjamin's spell?
I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, he did the so it's difficult to see and be hit. The flames,
right.
Sort of
Right, yeah,
mirroring Autumn. So
yeah.
no. So yeah, you're going up against the dragons, and I think Strix now knows that Autumn is also a dragon, but definitely looks like a hurt version of them. What are your thoughts? What is Strix's thoughts, and what is Adam's thoughts on that whole thing?
I guess I'm glad he's a dragon in a sense, because it's something I can get like more information on without having to deal with him directly, although I assume he's probably more powerful than even the strongest dragon we're about to face on the current excursion. So we'll maybe adjust his plans accordingly depending on how many of us sort of survive the dragon fight that I expect to have at the top of this mountain. Those are Strix's thoughts. Adam's thoughts. Even though he looks like a damaged version of a dragon, I'm pretty sure he's like probably a full order of magnitude more powerful than like a standard dragon in the book. So I'm not sure if we're gonna have to fight him or not, or if we can maybe find a way around that, or if Baraguro's just doomed.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
Narratively, Adam knows that you don't have any more plans for Baraguro, so...
Yeah, but I mean, you can always just look at it in the past. You don't have to look forward, right? So I guess what would the biggest surprise be? That there would be no dragon fight on top of the mountain?
That the dragons are actually friendly and are welcoming us and throwing us a party.
Oh,
yeah. That they have spent the past 4 months also trying to figure out ways to open a portal to get us all back. That's what I'm expecting.
All right. Well,
That's why they took the Mad Cans.
I'll write that down. That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I'll write that down in my notes. Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be a tough fight. I think. I don't want to say that people are going to die because I don't want to manifest it necessarily, but at the same time, I've I've done this D&D rodeo. I know what happens when people fight dragons, and it usually never goes the way people expect it to, no matter how well planned you think you are.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm gonna try and take it as it comes, and assume that we're gonna be fine and that everyone gets to go home and it's gonna be happy.
I like that optimism.
And that Water isn't gonna come and appear halfway through the fight and immediately murder us all with like one single move.
You can stop now.
It's actually kind of interesting because I know in our private game I usually always have like, you know, some kind of mechanism in place in case, you know, something should very go, you know, horribly wrong for the players, just in case that, you know, since it's a long-term thing we're playing, I want to at least give the player the option to, you know, do you want to die or do you want that to be a save if you know, if it happens. But I actually don't have anything for this one, interesting enough. So
super.
Great.
So yeah, just you know, managing your expectations, you know. So
how many hit points does Nessa have? Because the plot sort of ends if Nessa dies.
Yep, not enough. Not any spare hit points there, Marty.
I mean, I don't know. You know your characters. You know what they can do and their abilities and everything, right? So you are.
Strix still has a few tricks up his sleeve, but it's not going to help keep Nessa alive, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't really think that we've got much more from Neza because everything that we have, like all her cool things, are all involving like projectiles, like arrows and stuff, and nobody has used any of that. And I'm like, cool. Yeah. Okay.
I'll promise you that the dragon will throw a few rocks at you, so you can do some cool shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
Good. And any other wishes now that we are talking about them? Any wishes for the dragon fight?
A few extra levels. If we're asking for stuff.
Yeah. I mean, according to my calculations, you fighting the level of dragon I have in mind should be a hard fight. So, I mean, you should have a chance. So,
a chance.
A long rest right before we get there, maybe.
See, I think if we're doing that, then I don't think it's necessary to have the combat before that anyway. Then it doesn't matter, right? So, yeah. No, I'm definitely looking forward to our one day of D&D.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So
I'm very excited for the pizza that will be arriving that day as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've got snacks and stuff planned. So it's a good thing I'm getting paid like a couple of days just before that, because I can make sure that the day is full of nice drinks and snacks.
We just need to make sure that we're not having like too many nice alcoholic drinks, or by the end of session 13, it just like won't even make sense anymore. Drunk D&D, fun in theory, terrible in practice. Been there, done that. Mistakes were made.
I don't think I've ever played drunk D&D before.
Oh yeah, St. Patrick's Day last year.
okay.
Things happened, and I spent the next 3 days like being like, hey, DM, what did I do? Why did I go down there? Can you just like, this is the last thing I really remember. Can you just like walk me through it?
So it wasn't a one shot, it was like a middle,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was our regular campaign.
I feel like a drunk one shot could be quite fun,
Oh,
but
yeah,
like
we could totally
middle of the campaign, just off your tits drunk for some reason doesn't seem like the best. No.
I wasn't the only one very drunk. In fact, like the DM locked my character and another character in a cell because we were just being ridiculous. So like every turn of combat, oh well, what are Samuel and Smolder doing? We're still stuck in a cell. All right then.
Next turn.
thinking about a drunk one-shot live stream. I'm not really sure if that's a good or bad idea.
It's a terrific idea.
Bold idea. Bold idea, yeah.
And not only that, you then include like the chat, if they're watching, being able to change shit as well. That's ultimate carnage. That is ultimate carnage.
Okay, we need to plan this for the summer.
Yeah.
In between season chaos.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of running out of subjects about when it's regarding this specific episode. So maybe just open it up to a little bit more general chat about TTRPGs. I know that we've spoken to Adam a little bit about it, but Rick, are there like other TTRPGs that you like to play that is not D&D? Anything mentionable?
So my TTRPG career has been kind of focused on D&D, which I think is shared by a lot of people, to be fair.
Included.
Yeah. So I have played other systems. I've played Kids on Bike. I've played Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I am currently dipping my toes into Pathfinder, which seems fun, but from like coming from D&D and trying to throw yourself into a new system like that is quite intense. So I'm trying to pick it apart slowly. But yeah, I've played some systems here and there. One of the systems that I do quite enjoy for like one-shots, not necessarily campaigns. I don't know if this is what it's called. It's just what the DM that I usually play with calls it. But there's like a Buffy TTRPG system. I think people just refer to it as the Buffy system. But that is quite fun in the way that it allows you to like set up like character traits and flaws that really affect like how your character plays out and like how it affects like your stats and all that kind of stuff. It is dated. I think gay is in there as a flaw. So it is a little bit dated because it's based on TV tropes, right? So I think like being a gay character when this system was written was like considered a not a great thing. So definitely flawed and has some issues, but you can kind of like mold it and tweak it in ways that make it better. So that's good. But yeah, as I say, like I'm currently in a 4-year. Sorry, I just had a realization that's probably coming up to 5 years. 4-year campaign that it has been like based on D&D, and that group is GM'd by one person, but there are 2 groups. So like there's 2 groups running simultaneously within the world that he's created, doing different things that are affecting each other as we go along, which is very, very fun, but I think a bit of hell for the DM because it's hard to kind of keep everything aligned and whatnot. But on top of that, I've started looking into creating my own world as well, in which I want to try and do something a little bit weird, which is allow one world that has like a continuous plot and story to also include different groups, different DMs, but also different systems as well, which I think with a bit of creative hand waving can be done. There are characters obviously that won't be, if you try and play the same character in 2 different systems, you're obviously going to have to accept that some traits and some things you will lose and gain in different systems. But I think if people are on board enough, it'll be a fun way to kind of allow people to experience different DMs, different systems, whilst also being in a simultaneously kind of understandable and familiar environment.
That sounds like so much fun, to be fair. I would love to be just, if you're looking for people, I would like to be part of that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I've put a form together, in fact, which is a very early form of just asking what people's like experience are in terms of players and DMs. But if you're interested, I can throw you some information.
Absolutely.
Sure.
That sounds like fun. And you also mentioned Kids on Bike. I have the book and never played it. I've just read through it, and it seems like fun. Something that I would like to try, but one day. But it is more like meant for like 1 or 2 shots and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah. I've ever only played that as like just 1-shots for people's birthdays, or just like we had free time, so we went to get together and do a 1-shot. Kids on Bikes is a great one to just kind of quickly throw some characters together. I've never played it outside of a scenario of literally like kids on bikes, like, oh, we're like, we stumble upon an old cabin in the woods and there's spooky things going on. Ooh, like, the general's 80s horror trope. I've never played that. I don't know if it works well outside of like trying to do that scenario, but for that scenario, works great. Really, really good.
Yeah, awesome. As I said, would love to try it one day. So maybe we can do like a one shot one day in like official The Crowded Tavern one shot with it, because I would love to explore it, see how it works. Any other TTRPGs we should mention? I know that Adam loves to talk about Exalted, but I think we already have talked about it before. But Exalted, is that something we should check out?
Yeah. If you like crunchy TTRPGs and anime, you should definitely check Exalted out. It's so part of the pitch you often hear for Exalted is like your starting character is about as strong as a level 20 character in D&D, and you just go up from there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very like it's a system you can build a Goku in. It's a system you can build all like pick any trope from a shonen anime. You can build it in that. I'd also say it's pretty good for social combat as well. Like in our long form campaign, some of the tensest moments haven't necessarily come from like actual fights so much as they've come from like negotiation scenes or where you're trying to do like, I don't know, maybe a prisoner exchange, something like that, and it's all like it actually has fully fleshed out rules for social combat, unlike a lot of the D20 systems. And the one other thing I'll say about it is the stunting system. So basically, the more cool you are when you describe how you're doing what you're doing, the bigger the bonus to your roll is.
That's good.
That's cool.
That is cool. I like systems that like put that kind of decision into the hands of the players as well, because it makes them think a little bit. Because I think some players are quite used to saying, "Oh, I'll do this," and then the DM describes what happens. So it's nice to have systems where, because I think most D&D players are drama nerds at heart, if you ground down to it. So there's moments where players love doing that kind of stuff as well.
I mean, just Danny's description of, in the cave and with the lava, where he's like stabbing it from the back and he's using his horns and throwing it into the lava. I was like, holy shit, that's like an amazing description. And it is something that I need to, as a DM, I need to remind myself that I think it's totally all right to be more like, hey, you describe what's happened instead of I have to describe it every time, because, it starts to get, quite boring towards the end when I have to figure something, a new attack out for like, a combat session that's been going on for 2 hours, So it's definitely something that I think that I'm trying to adapt as well, that you describe what happens instead. So,
another shout out to another system that I've remembered, which was actually my first foray into TTRPGs was not D&D. It was a system called Ars Magica, which is not fun for a beginner, let me tell you. I don't know if the system's called Ars Magica or if the game is called Ars Magica and it uses its own system. I'm not entirely sure, but it was Ars Magica is what it was called. It was a campaign that went on for quite a long time, for like a year or so as well, and it's quite intensive. It's better for long campaigns in the sense that when you've done something, the idea is that you have like a season passes, which is a period of 3 months in the game, and then in those 3 months you decide what you want to do. So you you train your character in certain ways. You can train an apprentice, you can figure out like some sort of new magical ability, or you can craft your own magic. You can take the world magic that, as you know, and create something brand new if you're so inclined to, which sounds fun, but it requires a lot of forward planning. So you have to be like, okay, in 3 years I want my character to be at this point, and I'm going to work back and figure out how each season I'm going to get to that point. And for people who like that, great, obviously. For me, who was brand new to D&Ds and thought we were just throwing fireballs around, not the best thing to be introduced, because I was like, I was being asked questions of like kind of magnitude of like, so what's the plan for your character? And I was like, I'm just trying to understand how TTRPGs work, good system, but probably not for beginners, for sure.
I can't even do that in real life. So how the hell?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Any last comments before we head out of here from anyone?
Have we talked about werewolf on this
a little bit?
last one yet?
A little bit, yeah.
We can't remember if that was on camera or off camera.
I don't remember it was if it was on camera, but yeah, I actually didn't start with D&D either. I started with Werewolf, Powered by the Apocalypse, I believe it's called, right?
World of Darkness?
No, Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Werewolf the Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah.
Powered by the Apocalypse is another thing.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, Werewolf the Apocalypse, yeah. Where I played a very techie werewolf. Don't know where I got that idea from. But yeah, no, it just, friends playing. We were a few friends and so much fun we had, and I managed to almost kill my teammates because I botched the roll. It has that kind of mechanics. So yeah, I had a rifle. I shot him in the back. He didn't like that. So with a silver bullet as well. So
ooh.
Yeah, almost killed him. Maybe I even did, and the DM just didn't tell me. I don't know. It is a possibility. So
were you fighting other werewolves?
I don't even remember anymore what we were fighting. And it might also just have been a case of course, I'm buying silver bullets because that's cool. I don't know. I don't really remember anymore. It as again, I think I remember it as being like a fairly easy system to jump into because I was new to it as well. So it was just like it was more like the rule of cool than rules. So for me, so. But apparently my werewolf didn't like to shift into werewolf form, so he had a rifle instead and was just shooting stuff. So. All right.
And you like the other werewolf, Adam? Masquerade?
Well, Vampire the Masquerade.
Sorry. Yes, that's what I meant
to
say.
Yeah. So yeah, my primary experience with World of Darkness is through Vampire at the moment, but I do want to try out like a lot of the other World of Darkness games. I think I've already mentioned Changeling on here. Mage is another one I'd really like to try, although I hear like the latest rules for Mage are a bit jank, so maybe I'll wait for 5e to come out before I try Mage. But yeah, Werewolf comes out in August. So if anybody's up for doing a one-shot of that over summer, well up for that.
I mean...
Actually, I have a thought. I'll touch base with you after this.
I mean, I'm not against jumping back into the roots. So if you need a player, then I'll happily join. I think when it comes to August, I'm most likely in planning phase for season 2. So
unless somebody at Geek Herring Productions can get us an early PDF, like I ain't gonna run a one shot like the week I get the PDF.
Oh, come on.
One bit of time.
That sounds perfectly reasonable.
So yeah. So September then?
September, maybe. Because they've announced August, but they've not announced what day in August. So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe September, maybe October.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, I think that's the end. I think that's what we had for you this week. If you want to follow us, have a conversation with us, ask us questions, all that good stuff, you can do that on social media, pretty much everywhere at Crowded Tavern. You can join our Discord at crowdedtavern.com/Discord. You can find all the links and everything you need to know at thecrowdedtavern.com. So that's all from me. Amanda, anything to add?
If you like what you hear, do the things that you do when you like what you hear, and like, subscribe, follow, retweet, rate, review etc., etc., etc. It's all very greatly appreciated, and we love you forever for it.
What she said.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for
Bye.
watching.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. And guys, thanks for being here.
No problem.